So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties, you just haven't seemed to show up.
Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and documentary purposes based on public federal court testimony and investigative reporting. Why was Ellen DeGeneres, the queen of Be Kind, spotted at the same parties where silence was bought, cameras rolled in secret, and lives may have been destroyed? Why is her name suddenly resurfacing now, whispered in the background of federal trials, sealed testimonies, and dark rumors that won't go away? And why, when the man she praised for decades, Sean Diddy Combs, has been dragged into a public reckoning involving coercion, trafficking, and freak-off tapes, why hasn't she said a single word? This isn't just another celebrity headline. This is about what's been hiding behind the curtain for years. Because the fall of Diddy might also reveal something far more chilling, that Ellen DeGeneres may not have just known about what was happening, but may have played a role in keeping it quiet. Let's dive into the ties, the whispers, and the evidence before it disappears. Ellen's empire wasn't built on talent alone, it was built on a brand, a smile, a dance, a perfectly staged image of joy and generosity. She made kindness into currency, and for years America bought it. But that all came crashing down in 2020 when dozens of former employees stepped forward, describing a workplace that was anything but kind. Behind the jokes and laughter were allegations of bullying, verbal abuse, and misconduct, some of it extremely serious. Staffers described an environment of fear, silence, and control. Suddenly, Ellen wasn't just the happy host anymore. She became a symbol of Hollywood hypocrisy, someone who preached positivity while allegedly turning a blind eye to cruelty behind the scenes. Her show collapsed, her legacy cracked, and just when it looked like the worst was behind her, something even darker began to stir. The question became, what if the toxic work culture was only the tip of the iceberg? Sean Combs, known over the years as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, and most recently Love, was one of Ellen's most frequent guests. He danced with her, laughed with her, showed up to promote records, drop jokes, and play the harmless party boy. He appeared on her show over 24 times. They teased each other, joked about late-night parties, and dropped little lines that seemed cute at the time. In one interview, Ellen jokingly warned him not to show up late to her own party. Diddy smirked and promised he'd be there on time. "You know, once you get there, the party really starts," she added with a wink. At the time, no one thought much of it. But now, with what we know about Diddy's secret parties, the hidden rooms, the NDAs, the surveillance, the testimonies, it all sounds different. Why was Ellen, a daytime talk show host, so closely tied to a man now being accused of orchestrating a system of control, exploitation, and manipulation? Why did she continue to invite him back, even when troubling rumors were already swirling? And more importantly, what kind of friendship did they really have? Because behind the dancing, there was something much deeper going on. The deeper you dig into Diddy's world, the more disturbing it becomes. His white parties were infamous, lavish, all-white dress code events filled with celebrities, alcohol, and whatever else the guests wanted. But some guests say those were just the entry point. The real darkness happened elsewhere, behind closed doors, in places now referred to by insiders as the pink room or the back room. These weren't just after parties. These were allegedly controlled environments where participants signed NDAs, phones were banned, and private security ensured nobody saw what they weren't supposed to. According to recent court filings, these locations may have involved hidden cameras, illicit substances, and coercive acts. Several of the women now testifying in the federal case say that what happened in those rooms has haunted them for years, and that powerful people knew about it. Some even say they saw celebrities there. Not just artists, but talk show hosts, executives, icons, and somewhere in that mix, Ellen DeGeneres. Her name has reportedly come up not once, but multiple times in conversations from those who attended, and not just rumors, depositions, protected testimonies, whistleblower accounts. One former industry assistant, speaking anonymously, said they were shocked the first time they saw Ellen's name linked to one of Diddy's hidden events. She's not a producer, she's not a promoter, why would she even be on the guest list? It's a question many are now asking because Ellen wasn't just there once. She showed up at several of these events over the years, according to those close to the case. Photos have even resurfaced of her and Diddy together at parties long thought to be unrelated, but are now under new scrutiny. And yet, silence. No statement, no denial, no attempt to clear her name. Almost as if she's afraid of what might surface next. In December 2022, tragedy struck. Stephen Twitch Boss, beloved dancer, DJ, and Ellen's longtime collaborator, was found dead in a Los Angeles hotel room. The official report said he took his own life, but from the moment the news broke, the story didn't sit right. His wife, tearful, stunned, said he had shown no signs of despair, no note, no explanation, just gone. The entertainment industry mourned, but behind the scenes, whispers began to swell. People close to Twitch claimed he had been under immense pressure in the months leading up to his death. That he had been scared, that he knew something, and then came the bombshell. A reporter digging through Twitch's final days uncovered a conversation between him and Ellen. Allegedly, the two had recently argued about Diddy. It wasn't the first time Twitch and Diddy's names had crossed paths. They met years ago on Ellen's show. Both were dancers. They bonded over movement, rhythm, and performance. They became friends, but somewhere along the way, things changed. Rumors began to spread that Twitch had seen things, heard things, that he was caught in the crossfire between two powerful figures, Diddy and Ellen. There were even claims, whispers in the industry, that Twitch had in his possession compromising information, something he didn't want to be part of. Some say he had proof, videos, photos, names, and some say he was planning to come forward. We'll never know for sure. But what we do know is this. The man who once danced with joy every afternoon on Ellen's stage died under mysterious circumstances, just as Diddy's empire began to unravel. And Ellen? She looked visibly shaken when asked about Twitch and Diddy in a post-show interview. Her response was clipped, her eyes haunted. It was the first crack in her armor, and for those paying attention, it was the beginning of something far bigger. Hollywood runs on secrets, but it survives on silence. And when two celebrities as high-profile as Ellen and Diddy maintain such a close relationship, even as scandals swirl around them, it raises questions, big ones. Multiple industry insiders have suggested that what links them isn't just friendship, it's leverage. According to one whistleblower, Ellen and Diddy both kept files, records, footage, communications, not just to protect themselves, but to control others. You don't survive in this business unless you have insurance, the source said, and they both had it. Another report claimed that Ellen's mansion in Beverly Hills wasn't just a home, it was a hub. That secretive meetups with A-list celebrities happened there behind closed doors, no cameras, no media, just controlled, off-the-record conversations. One name that kept coming up in those alleged meetings? Sean Combs. This isn't just about gossip. This is about a system, a blackmail ecosystem, where favors, silence, and careers were traded like currency, where reputations were protected not with truth but with mutual destruction. Ellen had the platform. Diddy had the connections. Together, they built a firewall against scrutiny that lasted for years, but now? That firewall is cracking. And the files, if they exist, may not stay hidden forever. When powerful people go quiet, it's not fear, it's strategy. In the wake of the Diddy scandal, dozens of celebrities have gone dark, but none more notably than Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres. These two weren't just television titans, they were moral arbiters. Oprah built her legacy on empathy, healing, and giving victims a voice. Ellen branded herself as a beacon of kindness, compassion, and social justice. And yet, total silence. Oprah has attended Diddy's parties, promoted his events, even featured him on her platforms, but since the legal storm broke, nothing, not a word, not a single public statement. And Ellen? She didn't just feature Diddy, she platformed him. She was part of the reason America saw him as lovable, quirky, and harmless. She gave him airtime, let him charm her audience, let him joke about late-night escapades and making love a lot. She laughed when he talked about partying until 6 a.m. She called him Cuddle McNugglestuff on his birthday. And when the allegations started to surface, when the media began circling, and when her own show was under fire, he defended her. Diddy, in a now-deleted Instagram post, called Ellen a real one. He praised her as someone who always kept it 100. But what kind of man defends a woman accused of cruelty, manipulation, and toxic control? The kind of man who has something to protect. The question isn't why Ellen and Oprah are silent. The question is, what would happen if they spoke? And the answer might unravel everything. You can hide a lot behind a smile. But the internet never forgets. Over the past year, old footage has resurfaced. Clips, tweets, interviews that seemed harmless once, but now feel like flashing warning signs. And they all center around one thing: Ellen and Diddy's bizarre connection. Let's start with the birthday tweet. In 2016, Ellen wrote, "Happy birthday, P. Daddy, Puff Daddy, Sean," or as I call him, Cuddle McNugglestuff. And then she added something even more unsettling. "You don't need to know why." At the time, it read like a quirky nickname from a quirky host, but now it's downright eerie. "You don't need to know why" sounds more like a warning than a joke. Then there's the interview footage. One of Diddy's visits to The Ellen Show became strangely intimate. She asked him, "What keeps you up till 6 a.m.?" His answer? "I make love a lot." The audience laughed. Ellen laughed. But rewatching it now, knowing what federal prosecutors are alleging about his private life, it doesn't feel funny anymore. It feels like something darker was hiding in plain sight. And then come the photos. Ellen, Diddy, and a circle of now controversial executives, all posing together at what insiders now call the Pink Room. This wasn't a nightclub. This wasn't a red carpet. This was a private, invitation-only party that's now being examined for potential links to the very allegations Diddy is facing in court. Multiple women have described being brought to events like these under the guise of industry networking, only to be isolated, intoxicated, and in some cases, filmed. And now we have to ask, was Ellen just a guest or a guardian of this machine? Why was her presence so regular at these events when her public brand was so clean? These aren't coincidences. These are patterns. And the more you see, the harder it is to unsee. The word alone sends a chill. Freak off. It's not slang, it's not a party name. According to court documents and testimonies, it's what insiders called the darkest nights inside Diddy's empire, gatherings where people were allegedly drugged, controlled, recorded, and silenced. And the worst part? No one stopped it. Because the freak-offs weren't random, they were structured, organized, protected by layers of NDAs, private security, encrypted devices, and allegedly powerful celebrity allies. So where does Ellen fit into this? That's the question haunting online forums, resurfaced podcasts, and anonymous tip lines. Her name has reportedly come up multiple times, not as a participant, but as a witness or even an enabler. Someone who knew, stayed close, and stayed quiet. When Cassie, the woman whose lawsuit began unraveling the Diddy empire, spoke out, she described a world of silence and complicity. Ellen never commented. When Kim Porter died under suspicious circumstances, Diddy issued statements. Ellen? Silent. And now, as courtrooms begin to crack open the sealed files and encrypted phones, names are being whispered. We don't know what's in those tapes. We don't know who appears in those rooms, but one thing is becoming clearer every day. The people who knew the most said the least. And that silence might be what finally brings this whole system down. As the federal investigation into Diddy widens, sources close to the case are beginning to talk. Quietly, carefully. And some of them are saying something that seemed unthinkable just a year ago. Ellen DeGeneres might be called to testify. According to leaks from the legal team working with federal prosecutors, a list of potential material witnesses has been drafted. And on that list, buried among musicians, handlers, and former assistants, is the name Ellen DeGeneres. Not as a suspect, not yet, but as someone who may have seen more than she should have, someone who may have helped protect more than she realized. Her camp has denied everything. No comment, no press release. Just silence. But actions speak louder than statements. Since 2020, Ellen has retreated. She stepped down from her show. She moved abroad temporarily, tried a failed comedy comeback in 2023, posted sporadically, disappeared from most red carpet events. To some, that looks like a woman trying to rebuild. To others, it looks like a woman hiding before the storm. And now that subpoenas are being issued, time might be running out. Because if even one video, one text, or one sealed deposition confirms Ellen's knowledge of what happened behind those velvet ropes, the backlash won't be about gossip. It'll be about justice. And for the first time in decades, the woman who once danced into America's living room might be walking into a courtroom instead. It's easy to look at Diddy and Ellen and ask, how did they get away with it for so long? But maybe we're asking the wrong question. The real question is, who helped them get away with it? Because this wasn't just about two celebrities who rose too fast and fell too hard. This was about a machine, a network, a system built to protect the rich, the powerful, and the silent. Federal investigators had reports on Diddy stretching back over a decade. Whistleblowers came forward. Lawsuits were quietly settled. Victims tried to speak, but somehow the spotlight always moved on. Why? One theory? They were all in on it. Not everyone, of course, but just enough. Enough to keep the public focused on the music, the memes, the headlines about love and kindness. Instead of the darkness behind the curtains, and Ellen? She played a role in that machine too. She made Diddy safe for middle America. She turned a man known for late-night parties and whispers of violence into a daytime punchline. She sanitized his image, and in return he backed her when the knives were out. When her toxic workplace scandal broke and producers were accused of misconduct, Diddy stood up for her. That wasn't just loyalty, that was strategy. Because these people don't survive scandals by accident. They survive because they protect each other. It's a system of favors, NDAs, hush money, and mutual blackmail. A closed circle that keeps spinning until something breaks. And now it's breaking. Federal agents are no longer just looking at Diddy's past. They're looking at his enablers, his defenders, his co-conspirators. Which raises the most important question of all. Will the system sacrifice Ellen to protect itself? Because when empires fall, someone always gets thrown to the wolves. Ellen DeGeneres built a legacy on laughter, on kindness, on being the friend, the voice, the soft light in a dark world. But now that light feels artificial, manufactured, fake. Because when it mattered most, when people needed her to speak up, to take a stand, to break the silence, she said nothing. She stayed quiet while Diddy was accused of running a system of control, blackmail, and abuse. She stayed quiet while her own former staff cried out for justice. She stayed quiet when her friend Twitch died under suspicious circumstances. And maybe that silence wasn't just ignorance. Maybe it was protection, or guilt, or fear. Because behind every smile, there's a secret. Behind every kind celebrity, there may be a mask. And behind the Ellen we all thought we knew, maybe a woman with far more to hide than anyone imagined. This story isn't over. Diddy's trial is ongoing, witness lists are growing, sealed documents are being reviewed, names are being whispered, texts are being traced, and the internet? The internet doesn't forget. So we leave you with this. If Ellen DeGeneres is subpoenaed, if she is forced to testify, what will she say? Will she protect the image she fought to rebuild? Or will the truth finally break through the silence? You decide. But either way, the days of dancing around the truth are done.